There is a bird in Far North Queensland that the Guinness Book of Records once formally listed as the world's most dangerous. A bird whose silhouette appears on warning signs along Wet Tropics roads the way a skull and crossbones appears on poison bottles. A bird that weighs up to 76 kilograms, stands close to 2 meters tall, carries a 12-centimeter dagger on each foot, and has featured in more travel articles under the heading "Animals That Can Kill You" than almost anything else on the continent. The cassowary has a reputation that precedes it by some distance. Almost all of it is wrong. Not wrong in the sense of mild exaggeration. Wrong in the sense that we have taken one of the most ecologically significant animals on this continent, reduced it to a single frightening characteristic, and largely ignored what it actually does, which is, without any overstatement, hold entire sections of Australian rainforest together. The cassowary is not a hazard to be managed. It is infrastructure. The southern cassowary, Cassowarius johnsonii, is the Australian subspecies. Its range is almost entirely confined to the wet tropics of Far North Queensland, a UNESCO World Heritage Area that contains some of the oldest continuously surviving tropical rainforest on Earth. The Queensland Department of Environment and Science places the current population at somewhere between 1,200 and 1,500 individuals. That number has been declining for decades, yet the dominant public narrative about this animal is still built around the claw. So let's address that first. The cassowary's inner toe carries a dagger-like claw, roughly 12 centimeters long. The bird can kick with considerable force. There has been one recorded human fatality attributed to a cassowary in the modern era. Philip McLean, a 16-year-old in 1926 who was attacked after he and his brother cornered a bird on their North Queensland property. The cassowary defended itself. Queensland Department of Environment researcher Christopher Coffrin, in a 1999 study published in the Journal of Zoology, documented 221 cassowary incidents across a 25-year period. The overwhelming majority were provoked, humans feeding, cornering, or approaching birds at close range. Unprovoked attacks on people who maintain appropriate distance are, in Coffrin's assessment, rare to negligible. The cassowary is not hunting you. It never was. What it is doing, consistently, daily, across tens of thousands of hectares of wet tropics rainforest, is eating fruit and walking. That sounds unremarkable. It isn't. Research from James Cook University has documented cassowaries consuming fruit from more than 238 plant species. Many of these produce seeds so large that no other living animal in Australia can swallow them whole and pass them intact. The cassowary is a mega frugivore, the last remaining large-bodied frugivore in the Australian rainforest ecosystem. And that status makes it functionally irreplaceable in ways that have no equivalent anywhere on the continent. James Cook University ecologists, including researchers Andrew Dennis and David Westcott, have identified somewhere between 70 and 80 plant species in the wet tropics classified as cassowary dependent. Some of these produce seeds that will not germinate without first passing through a cassowary's digestive system. The gut passage softens or scarifies the seed coat in ways that trigger germination responses the seed cannot otherwise initiate. Others simply cannot travel far enough without the bird. A seed that falls directly beneath its parent tree competes for light, water, and root space, with a mature specimen that has a 30-year head start. A seed deposited by a cassowary half a kilometer away, a realistic dispersal distance for a single day's movement, enters a different equation entirely. The cassowary is not just moving seeds. It is determining where the next generation of rainforest grows. Ecologists have a term for this: keystone mutualist. Remove the cassowary from the system, and the forest does not immediately collapse. What happens is slower and more insidious. Certain tree species stop regenerating at rates sufficient to maintain their presence in the canopy. Gaps don't close. The compositional balance of the forest, which species are abundant, which become rare, begins to shift. Over decades, this compounds. There is no other animal in Australia's current fauna that can step into this role. The megafauna that once shared it, the Diprotodon, the Palocestes, the large browsers of the Pleistocene, are gone. The cassowary is the last thing standing in an ecological position the rainforest was built around. And then there is the casque. The hollow keratinous crest riding on top of the bird's head like something from a design brief that predates most vertebrate lineages. For over a century, researchers proposed competing explanations: display and status, protection when pushing through dense understory, perhaps an amplifier for the cassowary's extraordinarily low-frequency vocalizations, which sit at the edge of what human hearing easily detects. Research using thermal imaging, published in the mid to late 2010s, arrived at a different and considerably more prosaic answer. The casque, the data indicated, functions primarily as a heat radiator, dissipating metabolic warmth in a humid, tropical environment, where a 76-kilogram bird generates more heat than the surrounding forest easily absorbs. It is a cooling system, not a crown, not a weapon. A physiological solution to the specific problem of being very large in a very hot place. The cassowary's reproductive strategy is equally surprising. The female lays a clutch of 3 to 5 eggs, large, pale green, extraordinary-looking things, and then walks away. Not temporarily, she does not return. The male incubates the eggs alone for roughly 50 days. He then raises the chicks alone for up to 9 months, finding food, modeling foraging behavior, defending against threats. The female, during that period, may already be producing another clutch with a different male. Research tracking family groups in the wet tropics has found that father-chick bonds remain consistent across the full 9-month window. This is not improvised behavior. It is a reproductive architecture refined across approximately 60 million years of evolutionary history. The cassowary lineage is genuinely that old. Whatever this animal is doing, it has been doing it since before Australia's rainforest took anything like its current form. The real threats to cassowaries are documented and unambiguous. Vehicle strikes are the leading identified cause of death in the Mission Beach and Daintree regions, according to Queensland's Department of Environment and Science. Cassowaries cross roads to access fruit across their home range, and they do so at dawn and dusk, when road visibility is poor. Dogs are the second major cause of death, particularly for chicks and juveniles, who are slow and low to the ground. Habitat fragmentation is the structural problem underneath both of these. When rainforest is cleared and cassowary home ranges are broken into disconnected patches, the birds cannot move between fruit sources across seasons. A cassowary that cannot range freely cannot sustain itself. It doesn't need to be killed outright. The landscape just needs to become too broken to navigate. Both the Australian Wildlife Conservancy and the restoration organisation Rainforest Rescue have identified rainforest corridor conservation, maintaining and restoring connected strips of habitat between fragmented patches, as the highest leverage intervention available for cassowary survival. Not relocation programs, not population management, connectivity. Because the cassowary's ecological function only works when the animal can move freely across the landscape. A cassowary confined to a habitat island is a gardener locked out of the garden. It cannot do the work, and the forest cannot replace what is lost. We have done this with the cassowary the same way we do it with sharks, with crocodiles, with wedge-tailed eagles. We find the characteristic that frightens us, make it the headline, and construct the entire public understanding of the animal from that one feature. The cassowary has a dangerous claw and will use it if cornered by people reckless enough to corner it. That is true. It has also been tending this rainforest since before the continent looked anything like it does today. The wet tropics, with their extraordinary biodiversity, their ancient plant lineages, their layered complexity, that ecosystem exists in part because this bird has been dispersing its seeds across geological timescales. We built the warning sign. We forgot to build the sign that reads, "This animal is part of why the forest exists at all." If you are in cassowary country, the evidence supports a straightforward set of behaviors. Keep your distance. Do not feed cassowaries under any circumstances. Feeding conditions them to approach roads and humans, which is precisely where they are most likely to be killed. Slow down on wet tropics roads at dawn and dusk, and carry the correct mental model of what you are looking at. Not a prehistoric threat. A large, quiet, solitary animal doing irreplaceable ecological work. Work this forest has depended on for longer than our species has existed. Not the only Australian animal carrying an ecosystem on its back, while almost everything written about it gets the story wrong. Next, we look at a species that shares this same ancient rainforest, almost never makes the headlines, and quietly holds together a chain of ecological relationships that scientists are still only beginning to map. Subscribe so you don't miss it.